Life sure turned out differently than I thought it would when we were in school. A lot has changed. It certainly has. But, have you noticed how we don't want to change when things change? Yeah, I guess we resist change, because we are afraid of change. I used to be afraid of change. When a big change came along in our business, we didn't know what to do. So we didn't do anything and we almost lost it. That is until I heard a funny little story that changed everything. How did the story help? The story altered the way I looked at change, and after that, things quickly improved for me, at work and in my life. What was the story? It's called, Who Moved My Cheese? I think I like it already. Would you like to tell the story? Sure, I would be happy to. It doesn't take long. This is a story about 4 little characters who ran through a maze. 2 were mice named Sniff and Scurry, and 2 were little people, beings who were small as mice, but looked and act like people today. Their names were Hum and Ha. Every day they spent time in maze looking for their own special cheese. While Sniff and Scurry looked for hard-nibbling cheese they liked, the 2 little people looked for different kind of cheese, one with a capital C. What does cheese with capital C means? Cheese here is a metaphor for what we want in life, whether it is a job, a relationship, money, a big house, freedom, health, recognition or spiritual peace. The cheese with capital C represents the dreams and hopes of litany people which they believe would make them happy and successful. So each day the mice and litany people would race out into the maze looking for their favorite cheese till they arrived at cheese station C where they each find their own kind of cheese. After a while, when the mice still worked hard to get to the station, the litany people started to make their home near the station where they got so comfortable and lazy that they didn't even notice when the cheese got finished. While Sniff and Scurry quickly set to find new cheese, the litany people couldn't deal with this change. For litany people, cheese meant more than material things. It meant a successful and happy life. They couldn't find the courage to go out in maze looking for new cheese. So they spent days in cheese station C looking for the old cheese. They searched every corner, but they couldn't find the old cheese. They were starting to get weak and hungry. The mice at this time arrived at cheese station where they found the biggest store of cheese they have ever seen. Ha finally couldn't take it anymore. He decided he had to leave. He tried to convince Hem to leave, but Hem just wanted his old cheese back. Hem didn't want to change. Ha was afraid more often than he liked to admit, but he knew if he didn't change he would get extinct. So he decided to do what he would do if he weren't afraid. He left a trail for Hem to follow and went into maze. Ha at first searched around in the familiar part of the maze. He couldn't find any cheese for a long time. His fear was holding him back, so he decided to ignore his fear and go in a new direction. Ha finally started finding little pieces of cheese, but more than that he felt free by moving beyond his own fear. Ha realized that what you are afraid of is never as bad as what you imagine, and it is safer to search in maze than remain in cheese-less situation. Ha realized that the old cheese didn't disappear overnight. It had been getting smaller, but he just ignored it. If he should notice the small changes early, he could adapt to bigger changes easily. Ha knew he had changed over the course of his journey. He had let go of past and was adapting to the future. He relinquished his old beliefs as it will not lead him to new cheese. When he felt like he had been in maze forever, it happened. Ha found new cheese at cheese station N. It was the greatest supply of cheese he had ever seen. He saw his old friends Sniff and Scurry with their fat little bellies. He greeted them and took a bite of every one of his favorite cheese. This time he reflected on the mistakes he made in past and decided to be simple, flexible, and move quickly. He wondered had Hem ever decided to move on. He knew Hem had to find his own way, beyond his comforts and past his fears. He knew he left a trail for Hem and that he could find his way. Each day he inspected cheese station N and went out into the maze to explore new area. One day he thought he heard was the sound of movement out in the maze. He knew someone was coming. He prayed and hoped that his friend was finally able to move with cheese and enjoy it. This was an amazing story. Few of us accept change in our lives. We always look at change in bad light. We should keep in mind when our cheese get old and what our new cheese could be. If we just run past over fears and run through the maze, life would become less fearful and more enjoyable.